end of this episode, you'll have 3 money shifts you can use this week to stop shaming yourself and start directing money with power. Most moms do not need another budgeting lecture. They do not need another person telling them to spend less. They do not need another joke about them buying coffee, going to Target, ordering takeout, wanting convenience, needing support, having kids. Most moms do not need more shame around money. They need a new role. Because here is what I think is happening. A lot of mothers are walking around thinking, I'm bad with money. But I do not think most moms are bad with money. I think most moms have been assigned the wrong financial role. We have been positioned as the household cost controller, the person who's supposed to make everything cheaper, the person who's supposed to stretch the dollars, the person who's supposed to figure out the groceries, the kids' stuff, the school stuff, the birthday stuff, the holiday stuff, the convenience spending, the emergency spending, the emotional spending, the invisible spending. And then, when the numbers feel tight, we look at ourselves and think, what am I doing wrong? But the better question is, why are mothers being asked to manage modern household economics with outdated financial advice? Because the real shift is not become better at restricting yourself. The real shift is this: move from household cost controller to household capital allocator. That is the episode. That is the shift. That is the money identity I want more mothers to step into. Because a cost controller asks, how do I spend less? A capital allocator asks, how do I direct resources towards what actually matters? A cost controller says, I need to cut. A capital allocator says, I need to decide. A cost controller feels guilty. A capital allocator studies the system. A cost controller manages what leaves. A capital allocator directs what builds. And that is what we are talking about today. This is Mom's Money Talk. I'm Elli Ezra, the mom talking money like no one ever did for you. This is for the woman who's done managing money and ready to run her life like a business. I'm not a financial advisor, but I've built companies, sat in rooms with investors, and learned how money actually works. And here's the truth. You don't have a money problem. You have a systems problem. This isn't about budgeting harder or cutting lattes. It's about spending with intention, building assets, and thinking like the CFO of your household. Because if you're a mom, you're already running a business, the business of the home. So I'm giving you the playbook, one that makes your life feel lighter, not heavier. This is not an episode about how to never buy berries again. This is not an episode about how to make your own laundry detergent in a mason jar. Respect to the mason jar girlies, but that is not where we are going today. This is about 3 shifts that can change the way you look at money inside your household. And these are practical. You can do them this week. You do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need to be debt-free. You do not need to have the perfect spreadsheet. You do not need to become a different person. You just need to stop treating your spending like a character flaw and start treating it like information. Before we get into the 3 shifts, quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. That's not financial advice. This is a conversation about money, motherhood, systems, ownership, and how we stop handing women tiny little shame-based money rules and start giving them frameworks that actually match the complexity of their lives. And today's framework is simple. 3 shifts. Shift 1, stop saying I'm bad with money. Start saying, I am learning how to direct money. Shift 2, separate spending awareness from spending shame. Shift 3, create an ownership line item. That's it. That is a whole episode. But do not let the simplicity fool you, because these 3 shifts are not tiny. They change the operating system. Let's start with shift 1. Stop saying I'm bad with money. I mean it. Retire the phrase. Delete it from your identity. Do not let it live rent-free in your nervous system. Because when you say I'm bad with money, you're not describing a behavior. You're creating an identity. An identity is powerful. And if you believe you're bad with money, what do? You avoid looking at the numbers. You open the banking app with dread. You let bills, subscriptions, spending, debt, and decisions become foggy because the fog feels safer than the truth. Or maybe you do the opposite. Maybe you obsess or overtrack or become hyper-controlling. Maybe you swing between restriction and rebellion. Monday, we're not spending any money. Thursday, fuck it. I ordered dinner. I bought the thing, and now I hate myself. That's not because you're weak. This is because shame is a terrible operating system. Shame does not make you powerful with money. Shame makes you reactive. And moms are already living in so much reaction. Somebody needs something. Somebody forgot something. Somebody grew out of something. Someone has a field trip, a birthday party, a dentist appointment. They need snacks. They need shoes. Somebody needs a check written to the school for an amount that somehow feels both small and annoying. So when all of that's happening, and then you add the identity, I'm bad with money, what happens? You collapse under the weight. And here's where I want to bring in a data point, because sometimes we personalize things that are actually structural. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average U.S. household spent about $78,535 in 2024, which breaks down to about $6,545 per month. Housing and transportation alone accounted for more than half of that spending. So when your household feels expensive, it may not be because you're reckless. It may be because life is actually expensive. This doesn't mean we throw our hands up and say, well, everything's expensive. It's the economy. Who cares? No, we still care. We still pay attention. We still make decisions. But we stop making the cost of modern life proof that we are personally defective. That's the first shift. Instead of saying, I'm bad with money, say, money is directed toward my values. I learn how to direct money. That sentence matters. I'm bad with money. It's fixed. Learning how to direct money is active. I'm bad with money is shame. I am learning how to direct money is skill. I'm bad with money makes you feel like the problem. I'm learning how to direct money makes you the leader. And yes, maybe you have made money mistakes. Welcome to being alive. Maybe you've overspent. Maybe you have ignored things. Maybe you have carried debt. Maybe you've used shopping to cope. Maybe you've had seasons where you did not want to know what was happening because knowing felt too overwhelming. Okay, that is information though. That is not your whole identity. You can tell the truth without attacking yourself. Try this language instead. I am learning how to direct money. I'm learning how to look at numbers without spiraling. I'm learning how to make decisions from values, not panic. I'm learning how to build a household system. I'm learning how to become the capital allocator of my home. That phrase may feel big at first. Capital allocator sounds like something the Men Invest say on CNBC, right? Good. Take it. A capital allocator is someone who decides where resources go. That is what you are already doing every day. You are deciding where time goes, energy, attention, money, where the convenience is worth it, where quality matters, where you can cut, where you should not cut, where the family needs support, where future money needs to be protected. You are already allocating capital. You may just not be doing it consciously yet. So the first to do is very simple. For the next 7 days, catch yourself every time you think I'm bad with money and replace it with, I am learning how to direct money. Not because affirmations magically fix your bank account, but because the way you identify determines the way you engage. A woman who believes she is bad with money avoids money. A woman who is learning how to direct money studies it. And that is the beginning. Shift 2. Separate spending awareness from spending shame. This one is big. Because a lot of moms cannot look at the numbers neutrally, the second they look at the bank account, the credit card statement, the grocery total, Amazon orders, eating out, the activities, subscriptions, they immediately make it mean something about themselves. I'm irresponsible, I'm not disciplined, I should know better, I'm the reason we're behind, I'm stupid. No, we are not doing that. Looking at your spending should feel like gathering data, not reading an indictment. Your spending's not a courtroom. You're not on trial. You're just looking for patterns and signals. This is what business owners do. You're looking for pressure points, for leaks, for valves. You're looking for broken systems. That's it. Because spending tells a story. Shame tells the story badly. Shame says you spent too much on food because you're lazy. Stop. Strategy says, why is food spending high? Maybe food spending is high because groceries are expensive. Maybe it's high because you value quality ingredients. Maybe it's high because your family has food allergies or dietary needs. Maybe it's high because you're eating out 3 times a week because everyone's exhausted. Maybe it's high because there's no meal plan. Maybe it's high because the meal plan's unrealistic. Maybe it's high because you're being aspirational and buying groceries that rot in the fridge and then ordering takeout because no one wants the sad produce you bought when you were pretending this was going to be the week you made that Mediterranean salad that you saw an influencer make, right? No shame, just data. And by the way, the food conversation is real. Another stat, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that average annual food spending for U.S. consumer units rose to about $10,169 in 2024. Food at home, about $6,224, and food away from home at $39.45. Again, it's not imaginary. Food is a major household category. But the point is not, see, everyone spends money on food, so do nothing. The point is, stop treating food spending as a moral failure and understand what it is. You know, what is it doing inside your household? I mean, $10,000, that's not even $1,000 a month, right? Are you spending $1,000 a month on food? I mean, yeah. So just here's the question I want you to ask. What is this spending trying to solve? That's the money question. That's what you say in business. Not why am I like this? You know why. You have to feed people, not how do I become more disciplined? Like, having a new plan doesn't really change the spending, or not how do I punish myself next month? No. Ask, what is the spending trying to solve? So let's use examples. Example 1, eating out. You look at your statement, you realize you spent more eating out than you thought. Uh-oh, shame says, we're disgusting, we need to stop eating out. Strategy says, what was this spending trying to solve? Maybe it was solving time scarcity. Maybe it was solving decision fatigue. Maybe it was solving lack of groceries. Maybe it was solving the fact that you had 3 evening activities and no adult human wanted to cook at 8:12 p.m. Maybe it's solving your need to feel like life had one enjoyable moment in the middle of logistics hell. They're all different problems, and different problems need different solutions. If eating out is solving time scarcity, the solution may be 2 pre-made dinners in the fridge. Okay, you have to solve that a week before, on your Sunday, right? If eating out is solving decision fatigue, the solution may be a repeating weekly meal rhythm. Every Friday we have spaghetti, Taco Tuesday, breakfast for dinner, rotisserie chicken night, that Costco chicken, okay? Pasta night, leftover bowl night, done. And now the mental load is gone. So if eating out is solving emotional exhaustion, the solution may not be food at all. It might be support. It might be rest. It might be a conversation with your partner. It might be fewer activities. It might be admitting, I'm using spending to buy relief because our system's overloaded. You can also say, every Tuesday after soccer, we're going to go grab fast food. And it's just part of the spending decision. It's not shame, it's intelligence. Okay, another example. Amazon spending. You look at Amazon and think, what happened? This happened to me. What the hell happened? Packages, household stuff, kids stuff, random stuff, things you forgot you ordered, things that seem necessary at 10:50 at night. Shame says, I have no self-control. Strategy says, what is this spending trying to solve? Amazon often solves friction. It solves the friction of errands. It solves the friction of remembering. It solves the friction of being the default person who notices what the household needs. Toothpaste, clothes, shoes, socks, dog food, teacher appreciation gifts, a charger, a new water bottle, laundry detergent. The weird batteries. Like, you know how many times I Amazon someone's birthday gift because the mom sends me the list? I'm Amazoning that. It will be here before their party. There is no last minute run. All right. So before you attack yourself, just ask, is this spending excessive? Or is it revealing I'm carrying too much of the household procurement system in my brain? That's a different conversation. The solution might be a household list. Maybe you actually buy more on Amazon on subscription. Or maybe you add things to the Costco list instead of Amazon. It might be a weekly order day. Okay, every week we're going to do the inventory and order for the week. I mean, I love keeping things in the Amazon cart just indefinitely. Do I really need them? But it might just be pausing before checkout. It might be asking your partner to own categories, not just help, but own categories. There's a difference. Example 3, kids' activities. This one is loaded. Sports, dance, music, tutoring, camps, lessons, clubs, gear, uniforms, registration fees, snacks and snacks and snacks, end of season gifts. The activity is never just the activity. There is always a shadow budget. Shame says, we need to cut all of this, it's too much. Strategy says, what is this spending trying to solve? Is it giving your child joy, confidence, community? Is it giving you childcare coverage, keeping up with social pressure? Is it compensating for guilt? Is it because you feel like a good mom if your child has opportunities? Again, different answers. Maybe the spending is aligned. Maybe it's not. Maybe one activity is worth every dollar and another is just calendar clutter in a leotard. This is where capital allocator energy comes in. You're not just asking, can we afford it? You're asking, what is the return? And not just financial return, especially those kids, right? Emotional return, developmental return, family return, stress, capacity. If the activity costs money, creates constant fights, destroys dinner, exhausts the family, and your kid doesn't even like it, maybe that's not an investment. Maybe that's a socially approved leak. But if the activity gives your kid confidence, gives the family rhythm, gives you community, and aligns with your values, maybe that's a yes. See the difference? This is not about cutting everything. This is about conscious allocation. Example 4, beauty, clothes, and personal spending. Moms get weird about spending on themselves. We could spend $300 on kids' stuff and feel nothing. Then we buy a bra that actually fits and suddenly we need a congressional hearing. Why? Because many mothers have internalized the idea that their needs are optional. So personal spending becomes emotionally charged. Hair, clothes, skincare, fitness, therapy, coaching, medical care, dental work, a retreat, a lunch, a hotel night alone, a fucking pair of jeans that fits the body you have now instead of the body you kept punishing yourself for not having. Shame says, I shouldn't need this. Strategy says, what is this spending trying to solve? Is it vanity? Maybe. Vanity is not always evil, by the way. Maybe it's dignity. Maybe it's identity. Maybe it's professional presence. Maybe it's health, confidence. Maybe it's the cost of not disappearing inside of motherhood. You are allowed to be in the budget. Let me say that again. You are allowed to be in the budget. A household budget that funds everyone's needs except the mother, it's not responsible. It's extractive. So when you look at personal spending, do not automatically cut yourself first. Ask, is this spending aligned? Does this support my health, energy, income, confidence, or capacity? Am I using spending to avoid a feeling, or am I investing in the woman who holds a lot of this household together? Both can be true in different moments. The point is to look clearly, not cruelly. The 4 spending categories. Here's a practical framework you can use this week. When you look at spending categories, label it as one of 4 things. 1, values spending. This is money going towards something you genuinely care about. Health, family experiences, education, quality food, community, faith, travel, creativity, fitness, whatever your values are. Value spending is not automatically bad. You just want it to be conscious. 2, convenience spending. This is money that buys time or reduces friction. Grocery delivery, takeout, house cleaning, prepared food, childcare, subscriptions. Convenience spending is not automatically bad either. Sometimes convenience is a tool. Sometimes convenience is cheaper than burnout. But you want to know when you are using it and why you're using it. 3, emotional spending. This is money trying to regulate a feeling. Stress, sadness, loneliness, boredom, resentment, overwhelm, celebration, identity. Again, do not shame it. And even I say it thinking that there's emotion attached to it. Just notice it. Sometimes emotional spending is a signal that your actual need is not being met. Ooh. 4, broken system spending. This is my favorite category because it removes so much shame. Broken system spending happens when you're spending money because the system around you is not working. No meal plan, no shared calendar, no childcare backup, no rest, no communication, no household division of labor, no time buffer, no emergency fund, no clear decision rules. When the system is broken, money leaks. Not because you're bad, because the system is asking money to solve what structure should solve. That's a major shift. So your second to do is this. Pick one spending category that usually makes you feel shame. Not all of them, one. Groceries, eating out, Amazon, kids, personal care, whatever it is. Look at the last 30 days. Look. Do not judge it. Just label the spending. Values, convenience, emotional, or broken system. Then ask, what is this spending trying to solve? What is this spending trying to solve? And then, is there a better way to solve it? That's where your power comes back. Not by yelling at yourself, by diagnosing the problem. Ooh, so powerful. Shift 3, create an ownership line item. Now, shift 3, create an ownership line item. This one is the one I care deeply about because most household budgets are designed around survival, right? Mortgage or rent, utilities, food, transportation, insurance, childcare, debt, emergency savings, retirement, vacation. But for many families, there's no line item that says ownership. There's no category for assets, investing, business building, Bitcoin, equity, intellectual property, income producing skills, tools that help you learn, education that expands your capacity, a product you're building, a fund that buys your future freedom. And this is where moms get trapped because if all your money categories are about bills and consumption, or even emergencies and maybe some savings, your financial life becomes about keeping up, not building power. I want every mother listening to have an ownership line item, and I do not care if it starts tiny. $10, $25, $50, $100, 1%. The amount matters way less than the identity shift at first because the question becomes, where are we putting money that can grow, produce, appreciate, or create future opportunities? That's different from how do we make it to the end of the month? Now, obviously, if you're in a season where things are truly tight, this may feel annoying. You may be thinking, girl, I'm trying to pay for groceries. I get that. And I'm not saying skip your bills to invest. I'm not saying ignore debt. I'm not saying pretend your current reality is not real. I am saying even if the ownership line item starts as research, learning, $5, start creating the category in your mind. Because if there's no category for ownership will always be later. And later is where women's wealth dreams go to die. Later when the kids get older. Later when we make more. Later when the debt is gone. Later when life calms down. Later when I understand investing. When I feel ready. When I have time. When everything's perfect. No. We start imperfectly. We start small. We start with the identity. I am someone who directs money towards ownership. And here's why this matters. Women's financial contributions in families have grown dramatically over the last several decades. Pew Research Center found that the share of wives in opposite-sex marriages who earn as much as or more than their husbands has roughly tripled over the past 50 years. But even in marriages where spouses earn about the same, wives still spend more time on caregiving and housework, while husbands spend more time on paid work and leisure. So women are earning more, still doing more unpaid labor, still managing a ton of household complexity, and still too often being taught money through the lens of restriction instead of ownership. That has to change. It is why we are here. It is the point of the podcast. Because if mothers are helping produce the income, manage the household, raise the next generation, and hold the emotional infrastructure of the family, then mothers need to be in the ownership conversation, not just the grocery conversation, okay? Not the coupon conversation, Not just the can we afford this birthday party conversation, the ownership conversation. Do we own assets? Do we understand our investments? Do we have retirement strategies? Do we have emergency reserves? Do we want to own Bitcoin? Do we have business equity? Do we want to think about life insurance? Do we have estate documents? We have kids. Do we understand our tax picture? Do we know what happens if one income disappears? Do we know what happens if caregiving needs increase? Do we know what we're building? It's not about becoming obsessed with money. This is about becoming awake. A mother who understands ownership becomes very hard to manipulate. And she becomes harder to sell stupid shit to. She becomes harder to keep small. She becomes harder to exclude from major decisions. She becomes harder to convince that her only job's to reduce spending. Because she knows money's not just for spending. Money's for building. Money's for options, for safety. Money is for time. Money's for ownership, and money's for financial freedom. So let's get practical. What can we go in an ownership line item? What can go in? Option 1, ownership line item. Traditional investing. Okay, this could be retirement contributions. You've heard this one before. It's pretty much the basic. Brokerage account, index funds, college savings account for the kids, whatever fits your situation and your risk tolerance. Again, not financial advice, but you've all heard get in on the stock market, right? But for many families, ownership starts with consistently buying pieces of productive assets. The point is that some money needs to leave the consumption loop and enter the ownership loop. Option 2, Bitcoin. You know, I'm going to say it. Bitcoin can be part of an ownership line item. Not because it's trendy, not because some finance bro with laser eyes told you to, okay? But because mothers need to understand future money. Future money. We need to understand scarcity, debasement, custody, who owns the money. We need to understand assets outside of the traditional system, okay? You don't have to go all in. You don't have to be reckless. But I do believe women, and mothers especially, should understand Bitcoin. Not as a meme, not as a monetary network even, but as a savings technology, as a way to ask bigger questions about money itself, as a hedge against inflation. This is an economic play. All right, option 3. What else can you own? Business building. This is huge. An ownership line item can fund a business, a domain, software, a course, a coach, a website, a product sample, a camera, microphone, bookkeeper, a trademark, a babysitter so you can work on the thing. Sometimes the ownership line item is not an asset you buy, it's buying capacity for you to create. You know where my kids are right now? Camp. Paid for camp to be here to talk to you about money. If you're building something that can produce future income, that counts. Option 4, skill acquisition. Some spending increases your earning power. Certifications, training, sales skills, AI tools, financial education, leadership. A skill that helps you earn more can be ownership adjacent because it increases your personal enterprise value. You are an asset too. Your ability to earn, create, lead, sell, teach, build, negotiate, and communicate, that matters. That's an investment. All right, option 5. So this can include legal documents, insurance reviews, tax planning, bookkeeping, estate planning, or paying for professional guidance. It's not sexy, but it's meetings. You're paying for some meetings for someone to tell you this is the best route for you. And protecting the downside's part of building wealth, especially for mothers. We need this. We have kids who may have grandkids, okay? We have something to look forward to down the line, okay? Moms know better than anyone that when a system breaks, everyone feels it. Here's the important part. Do not make the ownership line item so dramatic you avoid starting. This does not have to be thousands of dollars. It can be a tiny recurring amount. It can be monthly family money meetings where ownership's discussed. It can be moving $25 into an investment account, which is literally this on your phone. Oh, I'm going to buy a little of that and a little of that. A little bit of Bitcoin. It could be reading a book about finances. It could be opening the account. I'm going to open the investment account. Great. Make the spreadsheet. Download mine. It could be identifying the first debt to eliminate if you want to try to work on that. So future money can be leveraged, right, toward ownership. It could be canceling one misguided subscription and redirecting that money toward an asset. Maybe it's 3 subscriptions you cancel. Oh, I haven't used that. I'm going to cancel that and put that in the ownership bucket. I'm going to use that to take a course. I'm going to use that second subscription I'm not using. I'm going to use that to learn AI and subscribe to the pro ChatGPT. The point is create the lane. Because once the lane exists, money has somewhere better to go. All right, here's the to-do for shift 3. Open your budget, spreadsheet, notes app, whatever you use. Create a category called ownership. Not savings, please. No, not miscellaneous, not someday. Ownership. Then decide what belongs there for this season. Investing, Bitcoin, business, education, legal, tax strategy, a meeting with an estate attorney, a tool that helps you earn. Pick one, just pick one. And pick a starter amount or a starter action. Again, it can be small. The goal is to teach your brain we're not only managing what leaves, we're directing what builds. And that's the whole thing. We are not managing what leaves, we are directing what builds. All right, how the 3 shifts work together. Now let's pull the 3 shifts together because they're connected. Shift 1 is the identity. I am not bad with money. I am learning how to direct money. Shift 2 is awareness. I can look at spending without shame and ask, what is it trying to solve? Shift 3 is direction. I create an ownership line item so money moves towards building, not just surviving. Identity, awareness, direction. That is the system. And this is why I like this framework more than a traditional budgeting episode, because most budgeting advice starts with restriction as a verb. No, this starts with leadership. Budget's a noun, it's a tool. A mother who leads her household economy does not ignore the numbers. She looks at them, but she looks at them differently. She's not asking, how do I become smaller? She's asking, how do I become clearer? She's not asking, how do I eliminate every convenience? Oh no. She's asking which conveniences are worth it and which ones are covering for a broken system. She's not saying, how do I stop wanting things? She's asking, what do I actually value? She's not asking, how do I prove I'm responsible? She's asking, how do I direct resources toward freedom? That is the upgrade. Let's walk through a real life example. Let's say your grocery bill's high. Classic mom shame category. You look at the number and immediately feel that hot wave of guilt. I can't believe we spent that. Shift 1, you don't say, I'm bad with money. You say, I'm learning how to direct money. That keeps you in the conversation. Shift 2, you ask, what is this spending trying to solve? Maybe the grocery bill is high because you're buying a lot of convenience foods. Okay, why? Maybe because weeknights are chaos. Maybe because no one wants to cook. Maybe because you're trying to feed people between activities. Maybe because you're buying too many options because everyone wants something different. Maybe because you're anxious. Maybe because you're under planning. Maybe because you're trying to eat clean and quality food costs more. Now we're learning something here, okay? Then you label it. Some of it is value spending. You care about food quality. Some of it's convenience. You need fast options. Some of it's broken system spending. No one knows what dinner is until everyone's starving. Some of it might be emotional spending. You buy abundance because an empty fridge makes you feel unsafe. That's real. Now you have information. Now you can make a strategic move, not cut groceries, a specific move. Here's what I did. We're going to plan 3 dinners. That's it. 3 dinners in the week, not 7. We're going to have 2 emergency meals on hand. So on Sunday, I do some meal prep for lunch. We're going to stop buying aspirational produce unless it has a job. If it's not part of those meal prep lunches or dinners during the week, don't put it on the list. We're going to use grocery pickup so I'm not impulsive, maybe while overstimulated, or just do Instacart. And we're going to have 1 Costco run for staples and 1 smaller one for the other stuff we need. Or you just buy it as needed. Or we're going to choose 5 things we care about buying higher quality and go basic on the rest. There you go. You want the organic for everything you eat the outside skins for and nothing else. Whatever you choose. I've heard that one before. This is power for you. This is not shameful. Then shift 3, you decide if we reduce food waste by $100 this month, 50 goes in the ownership line item. See what just happened? You didn't just cut, you redirected, you planned, you created a system. That's the difference. All of that is going to feel like a mental load off your shoulders. Cutting often feels like loss, but redirecting feels like leadership. All right, another example, takeout. You look at the month, you realize takeout got out of hand. Shift 1, don't say I have no discipline. Say I'm learning how to direct money. Hey, I know every Tuesday when my kids have swimming, they're getting out late, we're eating out. And they have 3 options. They can eat at the cafe right off of the gym. They could have Panda Express. They could have McDonald's. It's a treat for them. What do you guys want? So what is the spending trying to solve? For me, those Tuesday nights, that's convenience. It's late. We have to go fast. I need protein in them. What are we going to do? And they love it. All right. So maybe it's solving this convenience thing. Maybe it's solving resentment. You're always the one feeding everyone. Maybe you're like, oh, I can't do this, so I just keep ordering. Or, the lack of planning. You didn't plan ahead, so now you're eating out every night instead of those dinners that you were going to make at home. Or maybe it's solving the need for a little treat. Maybe it's solving the fact that your family schedule is fundamentally unrealistic. How many nights out are you until 10 p.m. or 8 p.m.? How tired are the kids? Is this good for them at their age? You decide. Just label it. Convenience, emotional, broken systems. Values, maybe. If Friday pizza night's like the loved family ritual, great. Keep it. But decide. If Friday takeout stays because it creates joy and relief and you just can't handle it, wonderful. Maybe random Tuesday panic takeout gets replaced with frozen dumplings or rotisserie chicken or breakfast for dinner. Maybe you and your partner decide whoever's home first starts dinner. Maybe you make a rule that takeout's planned twice a week and that's what it is. You just know those Tuesdays we're eating out. I'm not even going to mess with it. But you don't use it as a daily emergency lever because you've planned ahead. All right, shift 3. You calculate what you free up, even if it's $40. $40 doesn't vanish. It goes to ownership. $40 on your favorite stock can go up exponentially. Again, we're not just cutting, we're redirecting. Let's do kids' activities. You realize the activities are expensive and your calendar is disgusting. Shift 1, I'm not bad with money. I'm learning how to direct money. Shift 2, what is this spending trying to solve? Confidence, community, skill building, childcare, status, guilt, fear your kid will be behind, or fear other parents are doing more. You just ask, what is the return? Does this activity create joy? For my kids, swimming's non-negotiable. They got to learn, and plus, it's a lifelong skill. It's good exercise once a week. It's a half an hour. It's also very convenient. It's at my gym. They add it to my bill. They get to swim before and after. While they're swimming, my husband's in the sauna. It just fits. I actually love swimming. And it's safety. Worth every penny. So is it worth the time and the money? Because the cost of an activity, it's not just the fee. It's registration or gear or gas or running around or snacks or getting ready beforehand, making sure their backpacks are ready for swim, all the things, right? And then the dinner's disruption. The sibling drag-along. I've made it so both of their swim lessons are at the same time. Whew, lucky me. It's not always going to work like that, For soccer, the weekend tournament, the emotional labor, the group chat, what side of town are we on, right? Oh my God, the group chat. So you got to decide like a capital allocator. Not everything gets funded. And it's not because you're mean, because resources are finite. And leadership requires prioritization. Okay, I've got friends who they've done soccer and flag football with their kids for years. One of the kids is so burnt out from soccer, he can't even run on the field anymore. The husband and wife are like, I don't think we continue. I think it's over. You can say that, You thought they were going to be a college star. Well, things change. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe they rotate. Maybe there's something else they do in the season. Maybe they're running instead. But choose the thing with the highest joy to stress ratio, okay? And stop funding activities that look good but feel terrible. Then shift. The money or time that you reclaim gets redirected. Maybe take that money you were going to have for season after season and you go travel. Maybe it goes to your savings, maybe to investing, maybe your business, maybe just to a calmer home. Maybe that tournament you were going to drive to every weekend for $130 goes to a house cleaner instead. Sometimes the asset you're building, it's not just financial. Sometimes you're buying back family capacity. Now, I want to give you one practical ritual, a weekly or monthly money meeting, but not the kind where everyone gets tense and defensive. This is not a who spent what trial, okay? This is a household allocation meeting. Even if it's just you right now, even if your partner is not involved yet, if you're the CFO of your household, even if your finances feel messy, set a timer, 30 minutes, open the numbers, ask the 4 questions. What came in, what went out? What did our spending try to solve? And what are we directing toward ownership? That's it. That's the meeting. Not 97 categories, not shame, not perfection, just clarity. And if you're doing this with your partner, I would add one rule: no character attacks. You're not allowed to say, you always, you never, you're responsible or irresponsible, you don't care. No. When my husband and I got together, I said, you're not allowed to talk about my beauty routine. You're not allowed to comment on it. Now he does as a joke, but I'm going to have it. It's going to be part of my life. And it's been part of his life for 17 years. But it was a rule. You just can't take some of these things away. This is for me, right? This is values-based. So you're looking at the household economy together. And the enemy is not each other. Say he's the CEO of the household and you're the CFO. You're a team. Together you make this work. Your enemy is not each other. Your enemy is unconscious money or unclear systems. The enemy is emotional avoidance. The enemy is lifestyle drift. The enemy is consumer culture convincing you every feeling needs a purchase. The enemy is silence. The enemy is not your spouse buying lunch. The enemy is not you buying face serum. The enemy is not your kid needing cleats. The enemy is the lack of a system that tells money where to go before the world tells it where to go. That's the meeting. So let's bring this home. This episode is not about becoming perfect with money. It's not about never overspending. It's not about judging every purchase. It's not about turning your household into a joyless project where everyone eats lentils under fluorescent lights and calls it financial empowerment. No, this is just about becoming awake. It is about realizing that the sentence, I'm bad with money, it's not helping you. Replace it with, I am learning how to direct money. It is about realizing your spending is not proof that you're failing. It is information. It is information. Businesses use it as information. In running the household like a business, you will too. Ask, what is this spending trying to solve? And it's also about realizing that a household budget cannot only be about bills or survival, consumption. There has to be a line for ownership. There has to be a place where money moves towards future power. Because we are not only managing what leaves, we are directing what builds. This is the shift. This is the new role. You are not just the household cost controller. You are the household capital allocator. And when you start operating from that identity, the whole conversation changes. You stop asking, how do I make myself less expensive? And you start asking, how do I direct our resources toward freedom? This is Mom's Money Talk. Spend smart, acquire assets. Stop budgeting crumbs like that's the highest financial role you were ever meant to play. You're here to build. I'm Elli Ezra. See you next time.